Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Illustration Department podcast. My name is Giuseppe Castellano. In this podcast, I talk to folks in illustration, graphic design, publishing, animation, and other creative fields about their work, the lessons they've learned, and the bumps and bruises they've experienced along the way. In this episode, my guest is award-winning illustrator, artist, designer, and writer Maira Kalman. What illustrator hasn't struggled with doubt at some point? But Maira says that doubt is a good thing when it doesn't stop you, when you allow for not knowing. Among other topics, Maira and I talk about navigating life's inconsistencies. She shares how she and you and I can stay centered and grounded creatively. And Maira points out what the most important thing is about being an illustrator. I hope you enjoy our conversation. I was raised by Italian immigrants.
From where?
Something you and I have in common.
Yeah.
I was born here, you weren't. But, you know, being raised by Italian immigrants, and I think Jewish family as well, there's something about not reveling, but sort of appreciating the delicacies of misery and death.
Right. The nuances and
Right.
daily appearance of all of that. Yeah, hourly appearance of. But where are they from, by the way?
Southern Italy. The region is called Apulia.
Of course. Wow.
It's really nice. Flat vineyards all over the place, olive groves. The Adriatic is 30 minutes away from where they came from. It's nice.
You're saying Apulia. Is that also Puglia?
Puglia, yeah.
Yeah.
Or Apulia.
Yeah, I was there last year. It was really quite extraordinary.
Ooh, where?
Uh-oh, the earbud fell off. Don't even ask me where. We were traveling around with, we were in Matera and all of the kind of the cities of beautiful cities. And then we went further south and went to stay at this convent it's a hotel that used to be a convent.
Right.
St. Constantinople. Anyway, it was great. And then I just got back a few days ago from Rome, Florence, Bologna. To do various things, including seeing the Fra Angelico show at in Florence, which was a body-elevating, life-changing exhibit. I highly recommend. If you have any trips to Italy planned, include Florence.
Yeah, well,
I
I lived in Italy for a year, and I visited Florence many times. Rome is my favorite city of all time.
Of course.
There's no question.
Of course, there is no question. That's true.
For many reasons, which we don't have time to get into. I mean, we could talk about Rome for an hour, and that would be lovely. But I have Maira Kalman on the podcast, so I think we should talk about Maira Kalman stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, my mother's birthday was yesterday. And just doing research on you, I was noting a few similarities. I think you and I have similar relationships with our parents. My mother can do no wrong in my eyes, and she's just like an angel to me. Her name is literally Santa. She's a saint.
Oh, that's amazing. How does your wife feel about that, just as a small interjection? Is she on board
Fine.
with that? Oh, that's
cool.
Yeah.
No,
then you have
cool with it.
Great happiness forever.
Both sides.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, my relationship with my father is a little bit more complicated.
Right.
Your father and my father sound like they would be friends.
Right.
For various reasons we don't really need to get into.
Right, if they even know what friendship means. But at any rate, that's another conversation.
That's a whole other conversation. So I was talking to her. So it was her birthday, and she's not too far from me, about an hour. She lives in Bel Air, Maryland. And I just stopped by for a visit just to say happy birthday and hang out for a little while. And, of course, she made like a 3-course meal, and I had dinner at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. She was I'm like, Mom, this is really good. What did you do? Because I'm trying to learn my mother's cooking. It's peasant food from southern Italy, and it's just the best food. In her story about what she used to make the chicken, she weaved in someone she knows who died and her neighbor who has cancer and he's about to die. Right. And this is in her description of how she made the chicken that we were eating.
I hope that you're writing this down for your cookbook. And all, you should be writing it down.
I know. My sisters and I always talk about writing everything down, and we try. But my mother is very cagey about her recipes.
Even with her children.
Oh, God, yeah. Because if we cook the way she cooks, she thinks that we won't visit her anymore.
Right. Of course.
So illustrators are listening to this, mostly, if not entirely. My alma mater, the Rhode Island School of Design, Flex, gave you an honorary doctorate in 2014. My home state art school, the Maryland College of Art and Design, did the same 2 years later. Those are two in a long list of awards and honors you've received over the years. I'm starting off with an unfair question, Maira. I apologize. But is there an honor that means more to you than others?
The thing about honors is that they're very lovely to receive because it obviously means that somebody is considering you worthy of it. Having said that, they don't really do much in your life. Mm-hmm. They're a lovely blip, and you can throw it in a resume, maybe, if you need to. But on some level, it's actually extraneous. Because what's really important is the work, is just doing the work. And the response from the outside world, which again, I'm not diminishing, but I'm saying that it's not, you kind of get it, and then you say, oh, that's really lovely, and then you maybe not forget about it, but yes, forget about it at the same time.
Right.
Because life takes over and it's all its complexity, and bad news always follows. That's
oh my gosh, another Italianism right there, for sure. My mother always says, don't ever talk about anything that's going well for yourself.
Yeah.
Because what you're doing is inviting the devil into your house.
Of course. Well, we don't call it the devil. In our culture, it's the evil eye.
Right.
So you can't say anything good because then the evil eye will get you. Yeah, malokyo, but Ain Ra, if you want to speak in my language, in Hebrew.
Of course.
But but it's the same thing. It's the kind of you're wishing ill fortune upon yourself, and that sense that you're so vulnerable every minute of your life is that's something. That's something to handle every day. But
keeps you on your toes.
You can't escape it, and you can't eliminate it. So whatever it is, then you develop a sense of humor, which is the next part of the equation.
And that is correct. And I think the work too does help as well, especially if you're doing work that at some level brings you some amount of joy. The other thing that my parents instilled in me, other than neuroses, is a work ethic. Right. That has helped me focus when things are, going a little off the rails, either mentally or personally or whatever.
Absolutely. That we discover as the years go by, that the thing that keeps you sane is, there are two things that keep you sane, which I always say is, work and love, and that the balance of those things need to be recalibrated once in a while. But basically, to continue your work through everything is life-saving.
Of course. I had a sort of a moment in my life for a few years where I was experiencing a great deal of depression. And it was bad. It was bad. That's all. I'll just say that. I'll just leave it there. It wasn't that I buried myself in my work or anything like that. I don't even like that when people say that, bury yourself in your work or, try to get back on the horse or, whatever you want to say. But for just like these small moments in time, the work that I enjoyed doing before the depression, I got back to doing, and it just kept open the possibility that things would get better.
Which is true.
Which is, of course, true.
Before they get bad. No, we won't go back. Right. We won't go into that circle. But yeah, and that it's never constant. That the inconsistency of all things is something that you also accept and say, I'm inconsistent in a million different ways, and time is, and people are. So you can kind of gently fold that into your day and say, okay, whatever this is, this will pass.
Right.
Yeah.
I have to apologize again. In 2015, so this is between your two doctorates now, I was art directing a book for Penguin called The Celebration of Beatrix Potter. I asked 31 illustrators to write a short ode to Potter and to create an homage piece based on one of her books. The editor on the project at the time suggested that I reach out to you, and I didn't. And I honestly don't remember why. I think I thought you would say no. Why is that good?
No, but you're absolutely right. I would have said no.
Bummer.
Well, it's retrospective bummer. It's like fine, all is well that ends well. Because
that's the name of my memoir, Retrospective Bummer.
You keep looking back. Don't look back.
Never.
I think that the world that I inhabit maybe doesn't qualify, even though I am going to go visit her home, and I think she's a complete genius.
Of course.
Her world, I wouldn't feel equipped to comment on her world, and maybe at the time. So all is well, right?
All right, time saved.
Yeah.
Then, perfect. And I spared myself the heartbreak of rejection from Maira Kalman.
Well, somebody else. There's always rejection.
Among your many creative pursuits is set design, which I find interesting because you are one of quite a few illustrators who are or were also set designers. Remy Charlip, Maurice Sendak, and Edward Gorey are three of a long list, and I'm sure I'm forgetting a lot of popular ones. I think the answer is obvious, but what is it about set design and illustration that matches up so nicely?
Well, the world that I inhabit with illustration is very kinetic, and it's cinematic, and you're creating a world of people and objects. And so it's not a leap to go into theater. It's not something that I looked for. It's something that came to me, which is the nicest way for things to come. That I was... Something is beeping over here. Are you hearing that? No?
I don't think I heard it.
Oh, good. Okay. So...
And by the way, this isn't, we're not talking about, I'm not Terry Gross, and this isn't, Design Matters. So we're good. We're good on the imperfection.
Okay, good. If you hear a lot of beeping and such. So I think
I embrace the imperfection of my podcast.
Good.
Yeah.
What's wonderful about the kind of work that I do is that I am open to working on anything, and whether it's film titles or clothing or set design, and I think and costumes, and I think that being connected to people, when you're an illustrator, as you know, you're in your studio alone a lot of the time as a writer, and as an illustrator, I spend a great deal of time alone, and then there's always hopefully the pleasure of collaborating with people who you think are smart and interesting and
right.
kind, kind being a key word here, that you can create anything. So if I just finished making a film with my son, and I play 4 characters. I guess I insist on being the star, and I play Clara Schumann, Franz Kafka, Martha Graham, and Cicero in a short film about remorse. So
I've heard of them.
I think, you've heard of them. You've heard of remorse. So that too. So for me, what's interesting is not having any boundaries. That takes me to many different places, which is fantastic.
I mentor illustrators every single day, and I help them with their portfolios and picture books and submission and dealing with agents and all these things. Something I've been thinking a lot about lately, maybe over the past 6 months or a year. Every artist can and should practice their craft in whichever way they see fit, period. That said, I think it's a good idea for creatives to be multifaceted, polymathic, if you will, like you, for 3 reasons. 1, it's fun to be creative in different ways. 2, it could open up more opportunities for work and connection and life experiences. And 3, I'm pretty sure that's how creativity works. If creativity were a character, an actual thing, it would not want to be boxed in. Am I wrong here on any of these fronts?
I think that that's a very elusive idea. What is creativity? And I think that sometimes you're just born with the capacity to engage in that world, and you can't learn how to be creative. You can't teach how to be creative. I mean, you can encourage a sense of daring or a sense of curiosity, but somehow there's some element of trying too hard that feels a little bit, counterproductive. That something has to flow out of you in the natural way without second guessing the world, without thinking, what is appropriate or what can I sell. So I don't, I come from a vaguer place in that way. Not that I'm vague about what I love to do. That was very definite from a very early age. But that I allow for not knowing.
Well, that leads perfectly to doubt.
Right.
Doesn't it?
Yeah, and doubt, I think doubt is a good thing in that doubt when it doesn't stop you is a very good thing. Because you're really thinking something through, and you're saying, like, what do I really feel and what do I really want? When you're paralyzed and incapacitated, that now we have a problem. But if you are in the normal course of things, just allowing a certain sense of not knowing for sure, something reveals itself, some of the time or a lot of the time, and you find something that surprises you. That's really good. That came from you don't even know where.
Now, we're talking about like creative output here. Often, doubt comes up in conversation with illustrators. The doubt isn't really about the work. It's about whether or not they will be an illustrator, or whether or not an agent will like their book, or whether or not so on and so forth.
Right. Well, the only thing I can say to that is that if it works, it works, and if it doesn't, it doesn't.
And if it doesn't?
Then you do something else.
I agree with you. I agree. Then do something else. But doesn't that sound a little dismissive of somebody's like dogged efforts in trying to make it as an illustrator?
I don't mean, give it up after 1 month of, you didn't do it. I mean, you know within yourself whether you have to do it, and then if you have to do it, you'll find a way to do it. And so I guess what I mean, so that's what I mean. I don't mean, you're not a success, forget about it. I mean that the motivation will be in you if you have it.
Right.
And that's all I mean. And then if you find out after X number of years, or X number of minutes, X number of years, that this isn't what really feeds your soul, then maybe there's a reason to look for something else, whatever that may be. Who knows?
Maira, where's the line between tenacity and stubbornness in that regard?
I don't know about the word stubborn, but tenacity, of course. And this is you say this is your vocation. This is your life's work.
Right.
So you just do it, and ideally, you have people around you who encourage you. It's not this solitary, you're not some kind of miserable person climbing a mountain by yourself. That there are people around you whose opinion you trust, who you can talk to, and who encourage that tenacity and that exploration. So, and of course, it's never simple and it's never easy.
Yeah.
But you know that you're in the right world as opposed to what am I doing here? I mean, sometimes you say what am I doing here, but not that often.
No, and I mean, I think doubt is just a natural element of being a human being.
Yes.
I mean, how are we? I think people who don't doubt what they do, don't we call those people arrogant jerks?
Yeah, we call them, presidents.
This podcast is produced by the Illustration Department, a global leader in online education for illustrators. Visit illustrationdept.com for offerings like mentorships and portfolio reviews, testimonials, our alumni showcase, our best-selling Substack, and more. That's illustrationdept.com. And now, back to our conversation. Your style, specifically with children's books, has been described as idiosyncratic. Again, I need to look up what idiosyncratic means later in the dictionary I have here. But not to be argumentative, but couldn't we say that about every artist's style? Isn't everyone's work idiosyncratic?
Well, I think if it's taken in the personality of the artist,
right,
their idiosyncrasies, their quirks, their digressions, but they're more apparent. So the idiosyncrasies of my world, of what I see during the day, of what I am thinking about, enter into the piece that I'm working on, which is probably somewhat more than, let's say, somebody who's doing an illustration assignment and is being a little bit closer to removing their idiosyncrasies and doing the painting that they think is right for the piece. I mean, of course, that's a gross generalization, but I think that probably I inject more of my digressions, which I think is the best part of anything.
Can you expand on that?
So if I'm doing if I have the obligation is to make a painting that communicates with people, but I also have the obligation to communicate with myself. Take Stay Up Late, the first book with David Byrne. There were a million images in there that had nothing to do with anything other than just my sense of whimsy. For me, they worked. Hopefully they worked for the viewer and the reader.
Right.
I think that's what it is, that I'm instilling more humor and more of my own literary narrative. I think that's important.
Yeah, I think, not again, another generalization, but what I've witnessed, having had so many conversations with illustrators over the years, is some of that idiosyncratic goodness in their work they're trying to eliminate. It's imperfect. It's not what they think other people think defines good illustration.
Right.
Or it's
that's
not
dangerous.
what they think editors or art directors want.
Right. Well, that's sad.
And dangerous.
Yeah, I know. I mean, you need to make a living, and you want to be able to get work and to communicate with editors and art directors and all of that. But if you're not bringing something new to the table, then, from my point of view, it's like, what's the point of doing it?
Right. Speaking of children's books, so, yeah, you did work on Stay Up Late, which was published by Viking Kestrel in 1987. David Byrne, I'll have to look him up as well. I think he lead singer of the Talking Heads.
What is that? Yeah,
I'll check it out on Spotify later.
Did you see American Utopia?
I have not.
Okay. All right.
Am I a bad
well,
intellectual liberal?
No. That would be the last thing I'd want you to be. I think that
I did vote today, Myra.
Did you?
Oh yeah. I adulted hard this morning. Let me throw in this little side note. I woke up super early, which is what I do because I'm awesome. Then I voted in a way that just felt really cathartic. That's all I'll say. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay.
And then I came home. I ran for a couple of miles. I did some working out. I yogaed, and did some podcast editing. So yeah.
I did the exact same thing. That's crazy.
What?
So the whole morning is exactly what you did. Not at all.
Hey.
Not at all. I forgot.
I actually believed you.
I know, it sounded like you believed me. American Utopia is the show that David Byrne did a few years ago where Spike Lee did a movie of it. So if you want to see it, you can look up the Spike Lee movie of American Utopia.
Will do.
And I did the show curtain for that, which was a wonderful, we've known each other for a million years, and so there was another opportunity to do something different. So you were going to ask something about him.
Oh, I forgot.
Okay.
No, I didn't. As a podcaster and as someone who has a great deal of like self-doubt myself and anxiety and like all these other things that, maybe I need to talk to somebody about, I tend to think of a question and then immediately the question is challenged. This is all happening in my head, in like microseconds. Like I have a question I want to ask you, and then I'm like, well, why would I ask this person that question? Is that a good question? I don't know if it's a good question. Maybe I should ask the question. The question isn't really a question. I actually have two things for you here. One is, I don't know if this is true. I have to look this up, but I heard that David Byrne did attend RISD for a little bit, and then he dropped out. Is that a thing?
Yeah, I think he was at RISD.
Okay. Speaking of dropout, didn't you not drop out, but maybe
drop out.
Conscientiously left NYU,
right? Or AKA drop out of NYU. Yeah, Tibor.
Well, it sounded harsh.
Yeah. Well, it was okay. That was it was the time. It was the late '60s, and we were more interested in other things.
Right.
So school didn't seem that relevant.
If my son left college and said to me, school doesn't seem that relevant, I don't know how I'd react.
No, you'd probably be very concerned but it was really a different time. Our parents had no idea what we were doing.
Right.
We had this kind of freedom and authority over our own mistakes.
True, and that's before NYU was, what is it now, $90,000 a year or something like that?
Right. Yeah, I think it was
50, 100,
whatever it was, no money. But so we found our way.
How did that book come about? That was your first book. I mean, that seems like. It's like your first at bat at Yankee Stadium, or
right.
I hate the Yankees, so I'm going to say Oriole Park, and you hit a home run.
Because, well, I had been doing editorial illustration for a number of years, and M&Co, the design studio that we had, was doing a lot of work with Talking Heads. And so...
You and Tibor?
Yeah. And so then Tibor said, this, Little Creatures, their album came out, and the song Stay Up Late, and Tibor said I was, sort of getting tired of just doing small illustrations. And he said, well, why don't you just do that song and do a book? And that was, his kind of, just do it. So, one of those savvy things where if I had tried to get a book deal by myself, I wouldn't have been able to. But with his name at that time, they were very big. Having David Byrne as my co-author was, I got a contract immediately. And what I said to them was that this is fantastic, and I adore David, and I think he's a complete genius. But the next book I want to do on my own, I want to write and paint the next book. And they said, okay. I knew that this was an wonderful entree. And then I knew how I wanted to go on from there, that I wanted to write as well as illustrate. And
do you recall? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
And that was, Hey Willie, See the Pyramids. And that really started the trajectory of my career.
When did you start being a professional illustrator? So this is 87. So how long up until this point?
75 I started selling illustrations to the Village Voice and to here and there.
Right.
And then and there was the day when you would drop off your portfolio with art directors at magazines, when there were so many magazines, and you'd wait for a job from one of them.
Do you recall those first few months or years as an illustrator? Do you even think about those early days?
Yeah, once in a while I remember a piece, or I think about what it was like to do that, to kind of build your world. And I think I was incredibly lucky. Yeah. You look back at it and you go, oh yeah, that happened. Okay. So it all seems of a piece.
Do you believe in that? Do you believe that one thing leads to another? I mean, do you have...
Definitely. One thing always leads to another. That's the only way things work, I think. I think that if you have that feeling, one thing leading to another, in the kind of natural progression that feels true to you and feels right, with some zigzags and side steps, absolutely. I love that feeling.
Yeah, I guess I'm trying to think of what is the opposite of that? If you didn't believe that one thing leads to another, what would you believe?
I have no idea.
Yeah, me neither. See what I'm saying? Now I'm thinking, is that a dumb question? Should I edit that out later?
Oh, okay. I don't know. You'll see how it sounds to you.
Yeah, I'll work on my game. You were quoted as saying, the best children's books are as appealing to adults as they are to children. They have to be different levels of humor, different levels of reference, which allow dialogue between adults and children. If you live with children, the kinds of conversations you have during the day range from the surreal to the mundane to the insane, which is very true, to the pedantic. And that language can be duplicated in writing because the world is all of those things. To write, I am always telling illustrators, because they're always sort of doubting and undercutting their own, again, idiosyncrasies, their own sort of ideas of what a children's book could be. It's got to be a certain tempo. It's got to be a certain word count. It has to be a certain subject matter. No, it can be kind of anything you want it to be as long as you adhere to that quote, I think.
I agree with myself. And I think that having a conversation with somebody who doesn't understand that is kind of like, why are you even having that conversation?
What do you love most about being a children's book creator?
Well,
assuming you love anything about it.
I do. I love many things about it. And I think that, one of the things that a friend of mine got an award from the Eric Carle Museum, and I introduced her, and I said that the children's books, these first books of our lives, give us the right to dream for the rest of our lives. And living that, and believing in that, and living that, and understanding what it means to dream and work at the same time, that's a gift from the gods. So I think that the freedom that you have within the constraint, the freedom that you have, and I've said this a million times, of being smart and of being stupid, of being sad and of being funny, that you have an elasticity
Easy for you
in
to
the
say.
work. Yeah, exactly. keep all that stumbling in there. There's an elasticity of feeling and style and work and ideas which don't really present themselves in the same way with the books. You know, I've done as many adult books as I have children's books, and I know that the freedom of that kookiness is more apparent in the children's book.
Right. Is there anything about the life of a children's book from the very beginning, ideation, acquisitions, to the very end, remaindering, pulping, whatever you want to call it, or anything in between, that you're not a fan of?
There are so many books that a book has to struggle more to stay alive, to stay in print. And those are all considerations of the publishing world, which I don't even want to get into. So I'll just say that the ability to create these books and to have an editor and to have a publishing house willing to publish me is extraordinary. And I couldn't imagine having any complaints about any part of that.
Right.
I'm also given tremendous freedom.
Which is earned,
Thank
obviously.
you.
Need I say more? I'll answer my own question here. I'm not a fan of how hard it is. You just, like, the underperformance of a book, whether it makes it or not, the number of rejections one gets. You've been rejected. Who hasn't? Someone emailed me recently and said that their agent more or less fired them. It was amicable. It's not you, it's me, and I think we'd better off parting ways and all these things. That's like one other thing among many other things that I think illustrators these days have to contend with. I just wish it were easier.
Oh, well, that's
just
always...
even just a little easier.
But I don't even know... I just want to say that it's always been like that for writers and for artists, with galleries, with agents, with everything, people are always changing and switching and not... you find out this is not the right fit. You find out that you're not performing the way that we thought from either side. So I think that's been a constant in the world forever. And once you are engaging people to represent you, then that becomes a much more complicated equation. And having said that, I don't think anybody gets a book deal now without an agent, or maybe they never did.
And that's not. I didn't put argue with Maira Kalman on my bingo card this morning, but you can definitely get published, as illustrators especially can get published without an agent. Pretty.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's good
For
to
sure.
know. And not that I'm leaving my agent because I love her, but.
You're like, oh, okay. I'll just hold on, let me get on a call real fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure. For writers, yes. I think the whole, especially with the major publishers, there's the whole no unsolicited submissions policy, which does not apply to illustrators.
To children's books, really? Wow.
Oh, yeah.
That's good to know.
Oh, yeah.
Once again.
And I cheerlead them on, of course, but I have so many conversations with illustrators who are really struggling with pick a thing. Creativity, rejection, direction, the day-to-day practice, anything and everything, what to say, what to post, how to curate a website, all these things. And it's it's not that it's impossible or it's like ridiculously difficult, but it is very challenging. And I guess anyone can say that about any endeavor or any occupation.
Right.
It's not,
and
nothing's
that's true.
easy.
Right. That's the end. That's the last sentence. Nothing's easy, and you keep doing it.
Right. Something about getting older. And not that I'm old or anything, but just getting older, I feel like I'm not even trying, but I'm starting to realize, like, what is it that really makes me happy? What is it that doesn't? What doesn't serve me? What does serve me? Those kinds of things. There were so many things that I was concerned about, from like follower numbers on social media to what colleagues thought of me and all these kinds of things. And it's starting to, every year that passes, it keeps boiling down to fewer and fewer things that I'm really focused on and are really important to me. And the reason I'm bringing that up with you is because after listening to a number of podcast episodes that you've done with other folks and reading some interviews and things, it seems as if you're the right person to talk to about this. It seems like you have a really good idea of how to stay centered, how to stay grounded, how to find those moments of happiness day to day.
The thing that I've realized is that and again, nothing is a constant, but the thing that I've mainly realized is that when the world is very small, when I'm, the cliche of being in the moment and the sense of really focusing on the little things and my small world, my work, and my taking care of the people that I love, that kind of reveals the pattern of the day that makes sense. Then everything falls into place, within reason, obviously. But that you kind of know what's extraneous, what's, a waste of energy. And, for me at my age, the idea of what energy means and where would you put your energy is even more vital than at your age. Not knowing your age, but I'm sure I'm much older.
29.
So there you go. I'm the same age, it's crazy.
Yeah.
So
yeah, 100%.
So I think that it's a natural process of editing out what doesn't really mean anything, and that kind of happens gradually in a way. And you're busy with really wonderful things like going to the post office. I mean, after this, I have to go to the post office, so I have important things to do. I'm mailing a package. And then I'm going to take my book, my Proust, and read it in the garden, in the Jefferson Market Library garden, which I hope is still open. And then I'm going to paint. And then I'm going to, later tonight, watch a murder mystery and go to sleep early.
Sounds great.
It's a pretty simple day.
Are you going to vote sometime soon? Sometime in that day?
Yes.
Nice. You're being honored with a Lifetime Achievement Award this week at the Society of Illustrators, or next week, rather.
Next week, yeah, next week.
There's an award. How do you feel about that one?
I think that it's really lovely, and I'm going to attend, and I'm going to say a few words of thanks, very few words, not go on forever. And then
thanks,
yeah, exactly. Thank you, I think. And then I think that, and then hopefully the next day I will forget about it. That's what I hope.
Yeah, Lifetime Achievement Award seems like it's great. Are you kidding? I would love a Lifetime Achievement Award, but at the same time, I would probably be thinking as I'm on stage, thanking everybody for it. I'm not done.
Right.
Why am I getting this?
Right. Well, because at this point, they never know. So that's it. It'll be a sweet thing, which I will kind of half avoid in my brain, and then avoid before, and then enjoy during, and then avoid after. You don't
ever walk around the supermarket saying, "Hey, I want a Prince Award."
You know what? It was really nice. I walk in Central Park, and the day after the marathon, people in the park are wearing their medals, and it's really fantastic. It's like being in the Wizard of Oz. Yeah, and it's very sweet. It really is very sweet. But I don't think they're going to give me a medal, though. Maybe I'll wear it around the house.
A plaque or something. I'm thinking about going. I might go.
Oh yeah? All right. Yeah. Then we'll see each other. You'll know. I won't know what you look like, but maybe I'll look you up and find a photo.
I'll be the tallest guy there.
Okay. Very nice.
I wear glasses. I have a beard. I'm very tall.
Okay. That sounds all good things.
Yeah, if I show up, I'll make a point to walk up and say hi.
Well, of course you have to.
Yeah.
That would be great.
I'm debating. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, you'll see.
We do have a lot of listeners who are illustrators. What word of wisdom or piece of insight, word of encouragement would you like to share from you directly to them? I
think that what I've touched on throughout this conversation is that the most important thing is do what you have to do and be yourself. Now that's a journey of discovery, and things change, but throughout that, you can't go from the outside in. You have to go from the inside out to the world, and that's a surer guide than anything else. So I think it's following your instincts, following your sense of humor, and following your yearnings and your love.
To learn more about Maira, visit MairaKalman.com. If you find value in this podcast, you can support it by subscribing to my best-selling Substack. For $5 a month or $50 a year, you will access hundreds of articles on the art, practice, and history of illustration, unlock bonus podcast episodes called Extra Credit, and connect with other members of the ID community. Join me on Substack by visiting illustrationdept.substack.com. Thank you so much for listening. Until next time.